Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the Universal Ledger to unpack a pretty fascinating philosophical text by an author named Zufeng. Now, whether you consider yourself deeply spiritual or, just kind of curious about how different frameworks make sense of the world, this text offers a highly structured and honestly kind of wild way to look at something we all deal with. We're going to look at the cosmic accounting behind our daily frustrations and explore the overarching purpose of human suffering. Let's get into it. So let's tackle this question that frankly haunts us all, right? Why do things go wrong? Why do we always seem to face these inevitable setbacks and frustrations in life? Well, we're going to explore this entirely through the lens of Shufeng's spiritual framework. And here's the kicker. Instead of just chalking up bad luck to random chance or, poor planning, this source material suggests there's actually a highly calculated, completely unavoidable reason for literally every single hurdle you face. The text actually hooks us right from the start with this universally relatable rule of thumb. Zhu Feng writes that 8 or 9 out of 10 things in life we encounter are unsatisfying. I mean, really think about that for a second. When people reach their later years, 60, 70, 80, and look back, it's completely normal to sigh and have some regrets. The author points out that even if we could somehow start all over again, a vast majority of our experiences would still be unsatisfying. It really validates that completely normal feeling of frustration we often get as the years go by. It frames it not as a personal failure, but as a core, built-in feature of existence. And that brings us to the core premise of why this happens. You can see the stark contrast here. A perfect life exists in a higher-level space, or heaven. It's totally free from selfishness, and therefore it lives forever. But then there's us, the flawed life. We exist down here in this lower earthly realm precisely because we're born with innate selfishness, and we are heavily burdened with cosmic debts. According to the text, we are reincarnated here specifically to pay off those exact debts. Which brings us to this really fascinating fundamental law that governs the whole system: zero-sum energy. The text defines this as the universal law stipulating that the combination of positive and negative energies of the universe absolutely must, eventually, equal zero. It's cosmic math. According to the author, your human life exists primarily to balance this massive ledger. You've accumulated debt, basically negative energy, either up in heaven or down on earth, and your main task right now is to pay it off, returning your cosmic energy equation strictly back to zero. Only then can a soul actually return to a higher realm. So the crucial and honestly kind of ironic point here is that human nature comes with this built-in function of selfishness. Think about it. If we weren't selfish, we'd gladly and easily just pay off our debts, right? But because we are, voluntary repayment is incredibly difficult. Because of this, the universe, which the text refers to as Tao, has to fairly impose setbacks and tribulations upon us. It's basically a system of forced repayment. The universe literally has to orchestrate these frustrating, annoying events just to make sure we pay off what we owe. Now, what's truly surprising is how incredibly visceral the text gets when it comes to extreme cases of debt. We're not just talking about, having a bad day at the office here. Consider this reincarnation repayment pipeline. If a soul owes a massive debt, something just totally unpayable by conventional human ways, they might literally be forced to reincarnate as a pig. They have to dedicate their blood, their meat, their bones, literally going under the knife just to physically settle the score. It's a really striking, maybe even a little bit wild image that the author uses to show just how ruthlessly absolute this cosmic accounting system really is. And this extreme accounting builds right into another fascinating concept the text calls the constant. The author argues that absolutely everything in the universe is a rigorously fixed mathematical quantity. It doesn't matter if you're looking at a tiny circle the size of a needle's eye or a massive one encompassing the entire Milky Way, the ratio of circumference to diameter is fixed. It's always pi. And the same goes for the total amount of water on Earth. Whether there's crazy flooding or a 1,000-year drought happening somewhere, the total global quantity of water is an unchangeable constant. To really bring this home, let's apply the constant to human consumption. Just imagine your own lifetime food budget is a strictly fixed pie. The text claims that if you greedily eat your entire allotted constant by the time you hit age 30, well, you'll inevitably starve and die right then and there. Your budget is zero, bankrupt. However, if you're super frugal, never wasting a single grain of rice, you might reach your originally intended expiration date of 70. But because your food constant hasn't run out yet, your death could actually be delayed. How crazy is that? Now, the exact same constant mechanism applies to our actions and our moral debts. Think about the cosmic balance mechanism at play here. Let's say a corrupt governor embezzles 200 million yuan. The universe absolutely demands a zero-sum balance. And the correction? It isn't just a slap on the wrist. It's severe. It manifests as arrest, terminal illness, suicide, or maybe just living day and night in complete paranoia. The mechanism of Tao will always step in to keep those constants eternal and exact. But the text reminds us that we shouldn't view this mechanism as angry or vengeful. Actually, it's entirely natural. The author points to natural cycles to show this. Flowers bloom and wither. The tide rises and falls. The moon waxes and wanes. There's only one full moon a month, right? The waning is just a regular, completely unavoidable phenomenon. And in that same exact way, our painful tribulations are merely the universe's regular accounting process, just functioning exactly as it's designed to. So, because this process is as natural as the tides, the author insists we really need to fundamentally shift our mindset regarding suffering. Think about it. Borrowing debt is incredibly easy, right? It's driven entirely by our inherent human selfishness. Repaying that debt, though, that's difficult. It's painful. But, and this is a pretty massive philosophical leap the text asks us to make, no matter how painful the repayment is, we're supposed to face these tribulations with a calm and even joyful mind. Now, why on earth would we do that? Because every single time you suffer, you are successfully paying down your cosmic debt. You're clearing the ledger. Now, if you're sitting there wondering how to survive this incredibly strict system, the good news is the text actually offers a clear, actionable path. You can't avoid tribulations entirely, but you can alleviate them. First, you just have to accept that frustrations are inevitable. Just don't fight the system. Second, actively focus on generating merits by giving to others selflessly without expecting any returns whatsoever. This proactive, selfless generation of positive energy actually softens the blow of your inevitable forced repayments. And we can zoom all the way from the vast cosmos, from the Milky Way and the ocean tides, right down to this wonderfully mundane observation from the text. If someone makes you unhappy, and that is also a tribulation. I love this because it completely reframes our daily lives. That rude person cutting you off in traffic, that coworker who talks way too loud on Zoom calls, they aren't just annoyances. They're tiny cosmic taxes. By experiencing that brief unhappiness and just letting it go, you are actively paying off a micro debt on your universal ledger. It really is a totally transformative way to look at the daily friction of life, isn't it? It basically turns annoyance into accomplishment. So as you go about your day-to-day, and as you inevitably encounter those 8 or 9 out of 10 things that are just unsatisfactory, I'm going to leave you with this thought to ponder from today's explainer. Look around at your current frustrations, look at your recent setbacks, and ask yourself, what debts are you paying off today?